The massive alien warship loomed over the tiny Earth vessel like a predator about to strike its prey. Admiral Chen stared at the tactical display, watching as more enemy ships emerged from hyperspace. 30, 40, 50 ships now surrounded his lone vessel, the EWS Defiant. The last surviving warship of Earth's pathetic fleet. His crew worked silently at their stations, their faces illuminated by the red emergency lighting. The ship's hull groaned from battle damage, and the acrid smell of burned circuitry filled the bridge. The Defiant had fought well, but now it seemed their time had finally run out. The alien commander's face appeared on the main screen, his scaled features twisted in what passed for a smile among his species. "Surrender your vessel, human. You have fought bravely, but the Confederation will no longer tolerate your resistance. Earth will fall today." Admiral Chen straightened his uniform, keeping his expression neutral. "The people of Earth have a message for the Confederation." He pressed a small device in his pocket, sending a coded signal. The alien commander laughed, the sound like grinding metal. "And what message would that be, Admiral? What final words does your primitive species wish to share, before we end this pointless conflict?" Chen allowed himself a small smile. "An old saying from Earth, don't count your chickens before they hatch." The alien's expression shifted to confusion, then alarm, as his sensors began detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Space itself seemed to tear open as thousands of warships emerged from hidden hyperspace pockets, sleek, powerful vessels that made the Confederation ships look primitive by comparison. "Impossible," the alien commander sputtered. "Earth has no such fleet. Your people barely understand space travel." "That's what we wanted you to think," Chen replied calmly. "For 50 years, we let you believe we were weak. Primitive. Helpless. You never questioned why a species that could barely reach its own moon would refuse to bow to your demands. You never wondered why we seemed so calm in the face of your threats." The tactical display lit up as Earth's hidden fleet moved into attack positions, surrounding the Confederation forces in a perfect sphere of overlapping fields of fire. More ships continued emerging by the hundreds, then thousands, their weapons charged and ready. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth War Fleet to all Confederation vessels," he broadcast on all frequencies. "The deception is over. Earth is no longer hiding its true strength. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and engines. Any ship that fails to comply will be destroyed." He watched as panic spread through the enemy fleet, their formations breaking apart as captains tried to decide whether to fight or surrender. The Confederation had never faced a force like this. They had grown soft, governing through fear and intimidation rather than true strength. 20 seconds, Chen announced calmly. The first Confederation ship powered down its systems, followed quickly by others. A few turned to flee, only to find their escape routes blocked by more Earth vessels emerging from hyperspace. 10 seconds. The alien commander's face reappeared on screen, his earlier arrogance replaced by fear. "Wait. We surrender. The Confederation surrenders." Admiral Chen nodded. "A wise choice. And now, the real war begins." He turned to his communications officer. "Signal the rest of the fleet. Operation Ghost Rising is now in effect." As Chen watched more Earth ships appear, he thought about the long decades of preparation, the countless sacrifices made to maintain their deception, and the battles that still lay ahead. The Confederation would not fall easily, but humanity was finally ready to take its true place among the stars. The greatest military deception in galactic history had succeeded. And humanity's warships were about to change everything. 50 years earlier, Dr. Anna Thompson stood in the underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as the first faster-than-light drive hummed to life. The device was small enough to fit on a desk, yet it held the power to change humanity's destiny forever. "It works," she whispered, checking the readings again. "The drive actually works." The test probe had traveled to Mars and back in less than a second, proving that Einstein's laws could be bent, if not broken. But celebration was cut short by urgent news. Their deep space telescopes had detected massive energy signatures approaching the solar system. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe, and their visitors weren't coming in peace. Within hours, the world's leaders gathered in an emergency secret session. The choice before them was clear but difficult: reveal humanity's breakthrough and risk immediate invasion, or hide their true capabilities and buy time to prepare. If these aliens detect our FTL technology, they'll see us as a threat, General Rodriguez argued, pointing to the data streams showing the alien fleet's weapons capabilities. But if we appear primitive, they might underestimate us. Give us time. And so began the greatest deception in human history. While the world publicly continued its slow march into space using chemical rockets and basic ion engines, a hidden program began deep in the shadows. The first shipyards were built in abandoned mines and underground caverns. Old military bases were converted into research facilities. The world's best scientists and engineers disappeared from public view, officially retired or deceased, but actually working around the clock to build Earth's secret fleet. When the alien confederation finally arrived 5 years later, they found exactly what they expected. A primitive species still struggling to reach Mars. Earth's visible space program consisted of clumsy rockets and a few small orbital stations. The Confederation's ambassador, a towering insectoid being, stood before the United Nations. Your species shows promise, but you are young. Accept our guidance, and we will help you join galactic civilization, in time. The gathered leaders played their roles perfectly, showing just enough pride to resist immediate submission, but not enough strength to appear threatening. Behind closed doors, they signed treaties that made Earth appear weak, while secretly gathering critical intelligence about Confederation technology. Dr. Thompson watched the broadcast from her hidden lab, deep under the mountains. Around her, the first true human warships were taking shape, vessels that combined Earth's FTL breakthrough with decades of theoretical research in quantum physics and gravitic weapons. They think we're children playing with toys, she said to General Rodriguez as they inspected the nearly completed EWS Phantom, humanity's first stealth battleship. But we've had 50 years of uninterrupted weapons research, while they've grown complacent. The general nodded, running his hand along the ship's dark hull. The Confederation conquered their way across the galaxy by attacking species just discovering spaceflight. They don't innovate anymore. They don't expect resistance. And they certainly don't expect this, Thompson added, bringing up the blueprints for their next-generation quantum cannons, weapons that could tear apart enemy ships at the subatomic level. As more ships took shape in hidden shipyards across the solar system, humanity continued its elaborate charade. They launched primitive satellites while building advanced sensor networks in secret. They struggled with basic space stations while constructing massive underground bases on Mars and Europa. And through it all, the Confederation watched with amusement, never suspecting that the primitive humans were quietly preparing for a war that would reshape the galaxy. Dr. Thompson looked at the latest fleet report: 500 ships completed, 2,000 more under construction. Soon, humanity would be ready. And the Confederation would learn that underestimating Earth was the last mistake they would ever make. Deep beneath the surface of Europa, Commander David walked through rows of gleaming warships. The Ice Moon's vast underground oceans had proven perfect for hiding Earth's growing armada. The ships floated silently in the dark water, their systems in standby mode as they waited for the signal to launch. "How many do we have here now?" he asked his aide, their footsteps echoing off the carved ice walls. 2,000 in this facility alone, sir. The Mars and Titan bases report similar numbers. The aide checked his tablet. But we've hit a problem with the stealth systems. The issue was keeping the massive energy signatures of the Ghost fleet hidden from Confederation sensors. Every ship needed perfect energy masking, or their entire deception would fall apart. A team of engineers huddled around one of the ships, fine-tuning its quantum shroud, the device that made the vessels invisible to all known forms of detection. The lead engineer, an older woman with gray hair, waved Commander David over. "The new systems are ready for testing," she said, pointing to complex diagrams on her screen. "We found a way to hide our energy signatures by dispersing them through subspace." The Confederation won't see anything but normal background radiation. David watched as they activated the system. The massive warship before them seemed to fade slightly, its edges becoming harder to focus on. The energy readings dropped to nearly nothing. It was there, but sensors would slide right past it. "Perfect," he said. "How soon can we implement this across the fleet?" "A month for full deployment. We're training crews around the clock." The deception had grown far beyond simple hidden ships. Earth had developed an entire shadow economy to support the Ghost Fleet. Mineral resources were secretly mined from asteroids. Hidden factories produced advanced components under the cover of civilian industries. When Confederation inspectors visited Earth's facilities, they saw exactly what they expected: primitive assembly lines building basic spacecraft. They never discovered the quantum forges hidden below, or the advanced AI systems managing automated production. The real breakthrough came in weapons development. Earth's scientists had taken a different approach than the Confederation's brute force weapons. Instead of pure destructive power, they focused on precision and efficiency. In a hidden test range in the Kuiper Belt, David watched the demonstration of their latest weapon system. The target was an asteroid roughly the size of a Confederation cruiser. "Fire when ready," he ordered. A brief flash of light, barely visible to the naked eye. The asteroid seemed unchanged for a moment, then silently fell apart into perfectly divided sections, split at the atomic level by quantum filament beams. "One shot, minimal energy signature, and no debris to trace," the weapons officer reported. "The Confederation won't know what hit them." But the Ghost Fleet was more than ships and weapons. It was people, millions of them, working in secret while maintaining normal lives on the surface. Crews trained in virtual simulators hidden in basement gaming centers. Engineers developed new technologies while pretending to work routine jobs. Commander David's own family thought he worked for a mining company. Only his wife knew the truth, and she carried that secret with the same determination as every other family member involved in the program. In his office that evening, David reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Confederation was growing more aggressive, demanding greater tributes from Earth. Their patience with humanity's apparent primitive stubbornness was wearing thin. "Let them come," he muttered, looking at photos of his children. "We'll be ready." An alert flashed on his screen: another Confederation ship had entered the solar system for a routine patrol. Above, Earth's visible defenses consisted of a few outdated satellites and patrol boats. But hidden in the dark waters of Europa, and in bases across the solar system, humanity's real fleet waited silently for the day they would rise from the shadows and show the galaxy their true strength. The greatest deception in history continued, and not a single alien suspected the truth. Humanity was no longer the primitive species they appeared to be. They were a sleeping giant, about to awaken. Captain Patel stood on the bridge of her merchant vessel, the Lucky Trade, as it approached the massive Confederation space station. Her ship looked old and battered on the outside, exactly what you'd expect from a primitive human trading vessel. None of the Confederation officials scanning her approach could detect the advanced sensors and stealth systems hidden beneath its rusty exterior. "Papers in order, human?" the station controller asked with barely concealed contempt. "Yes, honored controller," she replied, adding a slight tremor to her voice. "Just a humble merchant seeking to trade Earth goods." Inside, she smiled as her hidden systems recorded everything: ship movements, defense positions, communication frequencies. The Confederation's overconfidence made them careless with security around primitive humans. The station's massive docking bay swallowed her small ship. As customs officials began their inspection, her crew played their roles perfectly: nervous humans intimidated by superior alien technology. "These Earth products are getting worse," one inspector complained, kicking a crate of what appeared to be simple machine parts. He couldn't detect that each piece contained microscopic quantum sensors that would activate once placed in Confederation ships and bases. "Our apologies, Great One," Patel said, bowing. "We do our best with our limited technology." Later, in her private cabin, she encoded the day's intelligence into a secure transmission, disguised as routine trade data. Similar reports were flowing in from hundreds of other human ships scattered throughout Confederation space, building a complete picture of their military capabilities. A priority alert caught her attention: the Confederation's invasion fleet was nearly ready. 80% of their warships had gathered in secret staging areas. They planned to hit Earth with overwhelming force. If they only knew what's waiting for them, she muttered, sending the encrypted warning back to command. Her ship's quantum sensors had mapped every detail of the station's defenses. Like most Confederation installations, they focused on stopping external attacks. They never considered that the real threat was already inside, watching and waiting. The next day, as they prepared to leave, Patel noticed increased activity among the Confederation ships. More warships were arriving, their crews excited about the coming invasion of Earth. "Those primitive humans won't know what hit them," she overheard one alien officer say. "Their pathetic defenses will fall in hours." Patel thought about the ghost fleet hidden throughout Earth's solar system. About the quantum weapons that could tear apart Confederation ships from the inside. About 50 years of preparation for this moment. "No," she whispered to herself as her ship departed the station. "You're the ones who won't know what hit you." As the Lucky Trade set course for Earth, its sophisticated sensors continued gathering data. Like hundreds of other disguised vessels now quietly returning home, it had spent years playing the role of a primitive merchant ship while secretly mapping the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. The Confederation never suspected that their primitive human traders had built a complete picture of their military capabilities. They never imagined that every piece of primitive Earth technology they'd bought or inspected contained hidden sensors and quantum trackers. Now, as the invasion fleet gathered, humanity's silent watchers were completing their final missions. Soon, the watchers would become warriors, and the Confederation would learn the true cost of underestimating Earth. Patel sent one last encoded transmission before activating her ship's quantum drive for the return home. "The enemy is blind. The trap is set. The ghost fleet awaits." The Confederation attack came at dawn. Thousands of warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons charged and ready to crush Earth's pathetic defenses. Admiral Zhang watched from the lunar command bunker as Earth's visible military responded exactly as planned. The few outdated defense satellites fired weak lasers that barely scratched the alien ship's shields. Small patrol boats made futile attempts to fight before being destroyed or running away. Earth's defenses are even weaker than expected, the Confederation commander broadcast on all frequencies. "Surrender now, and we may show mercy." Zhang allowed himself a small smile as he watched the invasion force spread out, getting into perfect position exactly where Earth wanted them. "Signal from Ghost Fleet Command," his aide reported quietly. "All ships are in position and awaiting orders." The Confederation ships moved confidently into the solar system, their formations loose and relaxed. Why bother with careful tactics against such a primitive opponent? Their massive dreadnoughts began moving into low Earth orbit, preparing to launch ground invasion forces. "They're deploying troops," Zhang noted. "Just as predicted." "Are the ground teams ready?" "Yes, sir. Operation Trojan is in effect." Across Earth, human military forces appeared to panic and retreat. Cities raised white flags of surrender. The Confederation troops began landing, expecting to face minimal resistance from a conquered population. In New York, alien soldiers marched down Broadway, their weapons held casually. In Beijing, they took control of government buildings already evacuated by fleeing officials. In London, Paris, and Moscow, the scene repeated: minimal resistance, mass surrenders, and apparent chaos. "Sir," Zhang's aide reported, "the enemy fleet is fully committed. 80% of their ships are now within the orbital engagement zone." Zhang took a deep breath. 50 years of deception had led to this moment. "Send the signal. Operation Ghost Rising is now active." Throughout the solar system, hidden commands were transmitted on quantum frequencies the Confederation couldn't detect. In underground bases, frozen oceans, and asteroid hideaways, humanity's real military power came to life. The first sign that something was wrong came from Confederation ground forces. Their weapons suddenly stopped working, disabled by quantum viruses hidden in the primitive Earth technology they'd been studying for years. Then their communications went dead, cut off by jamming systems that had been hidden in plain sight. The broken satellites they'd ignored were actually advanced electronic warfare platforms. In orbit, Confederation ships began detecting massive energy signatures emerging from seemingly empty space. The Ghost Fleet was revealing itself. "Send word to all commands," Zhang ordered. "The deception is over. Show them what humanity can really do." The trap was sprung. Earth's hidden forces were rising. And the real battle for the solar system was about to begin. Zhang watched the tactical display as red dots representing Confederation ships began to blink out one by one. A 50-year gambit was finally paying off, and humanity's long wait in the shadows was over. "All Ghost Fleet vessels," he broadcast on the Quantum Command channel, "you are weapons free. Take them." Around Earth, Mars, and throughout the solar system, humanity's true power was about to be revealed. The Confederation was about to learn why you should never underestimate a species that seems too weak to fight back. The Confederation fleet commander watched in horror as thousands of advanced human warships emerged from their hidden positions. The primitive species they'd come to conquer had somehow concealed a massive armada right under their noses. "Impossible," he roared as another of his ships disappeared, split apart at the atomic level by weapons his sensors couldn't even detect. How could they hide such power? On the bridge of the EWS Avenger, Captain Taylor directed her ship through the chaos of battle. The Ghost Fleet's first strikes had been devastating, using 50 years of collected intelligence to target the Confederation's weakest points. Multiple enemy ships attempting emergency hyperspace jump, her tactical officer reported. "Quantum nets are in position." The Confederation vessels tried to retreat, only to find their hyperdrives wouldn't engage. Hidden quantum field generators, planted throughout the solar system by primitive human merchant ships, had created a massive trap. "They're sending distress calls," communications reported. "Calling for reinforcements from their other fleets." Taylor smiled grimly. "Let them call. Our deep cover agents made sure those fleets are too far away to help." The battle in Earth orbit was a massacre. Confederation ships, designed to fight conventional enemies, had no defense against quantum weapons that ignored their shields and armor. Their own weapons, powerful but crude, couldn't target the Ghost Fleet stealth systems. On the ground, the situation was even worse for the invaders. Their landing forces found themselves cut off and surrounded. The fleeing human military had actually been herding them into prepared killing zones. "Status of civilian populations?" Taylor asked. "Safe in the underground shelters, Captain." The evacuation plans worked perfectly. 50 years of preparation had created vast underground cities, hidden from Confederation scans. While the aliens thought they were conquering abandoned cities, Earth's people were safe below, protected by technologies far beyond anything the Confederation had imagined. More Ghost Fleet ships emerged from their hiding places around Mars and Jupiter, cutting off any possible escape routes. The Confederation forces were being systematically isolated and destroyed. Another enemy battle group attempting to break through in Sector 7, Tactical reported. "Move to intercept," Taylor ordered. "Show them why you don't underestimate humanity." The Avenger's quantum drives hummed as they engaged, moving the ship faster than Confederation sensors could track. Their weapons, developed in absolute secrecy, carved through enemy vessels like paper. In the chaos of battle, Taylor thought about the decades of sacrifice that had led to this moment. The countless people who had lived double lives, pretending to be primitive while secretly building humanity's true strength. "Enemy flagship detected," her tactical officer called out. "They're requesting to surrender." The massive Confederation command ship hung in space, its weapons disabled by quantum strikes. Around it, the remnants of their invasion fleet were being systematically destroyed or captured. "Accept their surrender," Taylor ordered. But remind them, this is just the beginning. Earth is done hiding. As she watched escape pods launching from dying Confederation ships, Taylor knew this was only the first phase. Soon, humanity would take the fight to Confederation space. The hunters would become the hunted. The greatest deception in military history had worked perfectly. Now it was time for the galaxy to learn just how powerful humanity had become. The halls of the Confederation High Council echoed with panicked voices as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Earth's Ghost Fleet wasn't just defending their solar system, they were striking out, methodically dismantling the Confederation's power structure. Admiral Waters stood on the bridge of the EWS Vindicator, watching as another Confederation fortress world fell to Earth's advanced weapons. The quantum strikes were precise, disabling military targets while leaving civilian areas untouched. Status report from infiltration teams, his tactical officer announced. All major defensive installations have been neutralized. The planet's government is requesting terms of surrender. The speed of humanity's advance had shocked the galaxy. Confederation worlds that had once looked down on primitive Earth were now desperately trying to negotiate. The decades of deception had given humanity an advantage that seemed almost unfair. Message from another Confederation world, sir, communications reported. They're offering immediate surrender in exchange for protection. Waters reviewed the tactical display, showing Earth's forces spreading throughout Confederation space. The primitive merchant ships that had mapped their territory for years were now leading precision strikes against key military targets. Sir, we're detecting a massive energy spike from the target planet, sensors called out. They're powering up some kind of superweapon. The Confederation's secret weapon, their last resort, emerged from underground bunkers. A massive energy beam lanced out toward the Earth fleet. But humanity had known about this weapon for decades. Their undercover agents had studied its every weakness. The beam scattered harmlessly against quantum shields that shouldn't have been possible for primitive humans to develop. Return fire, Waters ordered calmly. Minimal force. Show them the difference between power and precision. The Vindicator's quantum weapon struck with surgical accuracy, disabling the superweapon without causing catastrophic damage. Another example of how far human military technology had advanced while hiding in plain sight. Across Confederation space, the pattern repeated. Their most powerful weapons and defenses, developed over centuries of dominance, proved useless against humanity's quantum technology. The Ghost Fleet struck from impossible angles, using secret hyperspace routes mapped during years of patient observation. Admiral, his aide reported, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. The Confederation High Council is requesting an emergency meeting. They want to discuss terms. Waters nodded slowly. The fast collapse of Confederation resistance was precisely what Earth's strategists had predicted. An empire built on intimidation had no real strength once its aura of invincibility was broken. Tell them we accept, he replied. But remind them, the terms will be non-negotiable. The Vindicator's quantum drives engaged, shifting the massive warship through dimensions the Confederation hadn't even discovered. Humanity's long deception was ending in total victory, but Waters knew the real challenge was just beginning. Send word to all fleet commands, he ordered. Phase 3 is now in effect. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really build when we're not pretending to be weak. The greatest military deception in history had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Now came the hard part, proving that humanity could be better rulers than those they had overthrown. As the Vindicator approached the Confederation capital world, Waters thought about all the lies and sacrifices that had led to this moment. The Ghost Fleet had won its victory. Now it was time to build something new from the ashes of the old order. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the former Confederation capital, representatives from 100 worlds gathered to sign the new Galactic Charter. Earth's Admiral Chen, the same commander who had revealed the Ghost Fleet's existence, stood at the podium. 50 years ago, he began, humanity made a choice. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, we could have revealed our true capabilities. Instead, we chose patience, deception, and ultimately, wisdom. The alien delegates listened intently. Many had once looked down on humans as primitives. Now they sat in awe of a species that had hidden its true power for so long. "We could have conquered your worlds," Chen continued. "Our ghost fleet proved capable of defeating any resistance. But that was never our goal. We didn't want to replace one empire with another." He gestured to the document before them, the new Galactic Charter. Unlike the Confederation's rules of submission, this was a true alliance of equals. Earth had used its victory to forge something unprecedented, a democratic union of species. "Our deception taught us humility," Chen explained. "We learned what it meant to be viewed as weak, to be dismissed and underestimated. It taught us compassion for those who truly are developing, who need guidance rather than domination." The quantum technology that had won the war was now being shared, under careful oversight. Earth scientists worked with alien researchers to develop new peaceful applications. The hidden shipyards that had built the Ghost Fleet were converted to produce vessels of exploration and trade. But most importantly, Chen said, his voice growing serious, "We learned that true strength isn't about having the most powerful weapons or the largest fleet. It's about knowing when not to use that power." In orbit above the capital, Earth's Ghost Fleet still stood guard. But its ships were no longer hidden. They had become a symbol not of deception, but of protection for the new galactic order. "Today, we stop hiding," Chen declared. "But we also make a promise. The power we concealed for so long will now be used to defend peace, to protect the weak, and to ensure that no species ever again faces the tyranny we overthrew." The assembly erupted in applause as Chen signed the charter. One by one, representatives from former Confederation worlds added their signatures. A new age was beginning. Later, standing alone at a viewport, Chen watched ships from dozens of species moving peacefully through space. The Ghost Fleet's victory had changed everything, but not in the way anyone had expected. "Was it worth it?" a voice asked. Chen turned to see Dr. Thompson, now elderly but still sharp, the scientist who had helped create their first FTL drive 50 years ago. "The deception? The waiting? All those years of hiding who we really were?" Chen considered the question. "Look out there. We didn't just win a war. We changed the galaxy. And we did it without becoming the very thing we fought against." A small ship caught his eye, a vessel of obviously primitive design from a newly discovered species. Unlike in the days of the Confederation, this species would find guidance and protection, not exploitation. "The Ghost Fleet's greatest victory," Chen said softly, "wasn't in the battles we won. It was in teaching us the wisdom to know what to do with that victory." Dr. Thompson smiled. "Then perhaps deception, when used with wisdom and restraint, can sometimes build something better than truth alone." Together, they watched the stars, knowing that humanity's long deception had created not just a military victory, but a legacy of peace that would endure for generations to come. The Ghost Fleet had changed the galaxy. But more importantly, it had changed humanity itself. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.